Ooh, welcome back to another episode of the Get Back Coach presented by Apollo Media. Today, Big Ten preview, and nobody better to have on for the Big Ten preview than recurring guest, our friend Jeffrey the Greek. Jeff, eyes on big. You guys are already thick into things. You guys have been going for a month now. How's everything going?
We're doing good on Eyes on Big. Little busy with my summer and things, and then all of a sudden it was kind of after the fourth, and I'm like, we gotta get going here, you know.
Mhm.
So it was time to put the pedal down in the metal. Um, I was, not to, I was into the World Cup a little bit,
Yeah.
but when the kickball sport was over, especially time to turn to God sport now. So that's what we do.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I'm when the United States is playing, I'm a full patriot, and then everything else kind of becomes an afterthought. Jay, I think you follow just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the Premier League scarf above my head may be a little bit of a giveaway.
Yeah.
But no, I'm a pretty big soccer fan, and I think the World Cup especially is so fun to watch.
Mhm.
Uh, it's fun because with the clubs, they like build these teams and they have guys that are good at every position. With the nations, it's like you have what you have. You don't get to necessarily pick the best guy at a given position. It's who you have available from your country. And I think it just changes the way the game is played a little bit. Like teams have to
Mhm.
adapt their personnel a little bit more than just going out and finding somebody on the roster. But no, I mean, I'm a nerd about soccer to the point that I've actually read a couple of books on tactics trying to like learn.
Reading.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it was fun and it definitely makes summer go by faster, I feel like
It
normally
helps.
during that
That
period of
helps.
summer it's
Oh
so
yeah.
slow.
And like all of the like to me at least, you have all the fans from all the different countries, and I think that's what also kind of makes our sport fun is because these fan bases, it's ingrained to you at a young age, and you have that culture, and the atmosphere and fandoms in college football are a little reminiscent of the cultures overseas where it has to do with soccer. So I think that's a perfect segue into some Big Ten football. So Jeff, we're going to start you off with, I think, probably one of the easier questions here for you. And that is, who are the national title contenders in the Big Ten? Because I think we could probably piece it together, but I want to hear it out of you first.
I wish we could start the podcast off with a splash, but I got to answer these questions as they are given to me. And alphabetically, there are three teams: Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. Everybody is
Mhm.
going to say those three teams. Maybe the only variant would be some people might only list two. They might only list Ohio State and Oregon if they were really going at it. But I felt like after I did my deep dive on Indiana, seeing Siggy prove to us last year, doubt Indiana, at your own peril. And then, of course, the talent and consistency that Ohio State and Oregon have put together with their roster and on-field results, they have to be up there. Those three teams are as good, in my opinion, than any team in the country. And they definitely clear the next team down in the Big Ten.
So here's the hard question. Who's the fourth? Who is that next team that can be possibly knocking on the door for that threshold?
Yeah. I mean, you go from the easiest one to almost impossible. Jake and I were DMing, I this question when it was asked. I'm struggling with it now. The long way I would take is to say, I believe these are the teams that are deserving to be in the conversation of the fourth team. Also in alphabetical order: fourth team, Iowa; fifth, Michigan; sixth, Penn State; seventh, USC; eighth, Washington. We are
Mhm.
8 teams deep in the Big Ten. So then I was thinking to myself, like, am I comparing these teams team to team? Okay. So if I'm approach of comparing those 5 teams team to team, man, I don't know. Like every single one of these teams has things that I like and has things that they absolutely need to work through. There's just like almost always one thing that's going to stop me from picking them to be that definite 4th team. Maybe we can get into little details as much as you want, pick out a team. Then I decided probably the best way to answer this is which of these 4 teams could I see being the 4th team to make the college football playoff, and it wouldn't blow my mind. I think that's the best way to answer.
Yeah.
And I would go with Michigan for that answer. But I want to say, as I said Michigan, I'm still struggling at that. But essentially what I need out of Michigan is for their 5-star quarterback to be above average. Because I believe if that can be the case, which, by the way, I don't have a ton of confidence we're going to get that. But if one could expect Underwood to not as underwhelming as he was last year, I think a lot of things in place.
Yeah. So would you say Michigan would be like would you categorize them as kind of the dark horse right now?
No, they're more of a light horse, right? To give you as far as if you're assuming it's not going to be one of those top 3 teams. I tell you what I like about Michigan, and our guy Jordan, I felt like he did his best to poo-poo them as a Michigan fan. He's one of those rare Wolverine fans that looks at it like that. And I tell you what, I like their O-line, and I like their D-line. And I'm not sure I can say that about every one of these teams that we could also name in this little pod that I just brought up right there. It's Michigan. They've got guys on the outside as well. I think their wide receivers will take a step up. And I love Witt. I believe it is going to be like you can sometimes see that adult in the room bump from what was obviously a dumpster fire last year. So that bump and then simplifying down the game for Underwood, that's mostly what I'm seeing with Michigan. But I think it boils back down to their good O-line and D-line.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm a fanatic about trench play, and Michigan tends to have those guys. I think they're going to be key in taking that step forward. I guess on the flip side of that, we talked about teams that maybe could be a little bit surprising. Who is the team that you think is most likely to have a disappointing season compared to their expectations?
You want me to go out of that pod or just across the Big Ten?
We can just stay across the Big Ten for this.
Okay. Well, I looked at it. A team that could disappoint the most as compared to their season total, if we can go to that direction.
Absolutely.
Again, another podcast partner reference. My podcast partner, Big Kurt, his Illinois Fighting Illini. I have yet to learn about them, but knowing that they lost quite a bit, seeing their season win total at 7.5, there's a lot of pretty good teams in the Big Ten that also have a 7.5 win total. There's a lot that's got to work in order for Illinois to hit that, to go over that. And you look at their schedule. I know we don't have it pulled up right now, but I'm going to give them auto wins against UAB and SIU, probably an auto win versus Purdue. The other 9 games to me are a couple that I just can't see them win. Really questionable. There are potential losses. Now, they're not going to lose 9 games. I want to be clear. Brett Bielema is a really good coach, okay? But at something like 5-7, to just barely miss, going to a bowl game and finishing 2.5 wins down from your win total, I don't think it's crazy that Illinois, I'm just surprised to see how high up that win total was.
Mm-hmm. So you would say, like, again, for the people maybe looking to put a little extra money, if they were to put an under down on a team, Illinois probably might be the safe bet in your eyes?
Well, here's how I would do it. I would play around and I would tease that thing down quite a bit lower where you get more of a payout, lower money put in, higher reward if they finish that far under. That would be a team that I could see hitting.
All right. Love it. So, all right, we talked about some good, and now we're talking about, some maybe underperforming teams. Is there a team, and I think I know your answer because you think you tipped it. Is there a team that's probably going, like, who's most likely to be at the bottom of the barrel here in this conference?
Yeah. The only two teams that are consistently picked are Rutgers and Purdue. Obviously, Purdue, first year under Odom last year, it was bad. I mean, it was even maybe a little worse than I thought it could be with just the absolute, asinine roster turnover that they had. It's the best word I could describe it. It was insane. So, like, it's understandable. The other team, Rutgers, they have a ridiculous amount of turnover on the defensive side. Listen to my podcast breaking down Rutgers. It'll blow your mind. I mean, it's not just new personnel. It's new coaches and schemes that are completely different. However, I have more faith in Greg Schiano to figure out a way to put his roster together to pick up some Big Ten wins, whereas I haven't seen that from Barry Odom yet in the Big Ten at Purdue. So to me, that is most statistically probable to finish at the bottom. Again, it's kind of a anticlimactic because of the three teams I picked at the top, because Purdue is picked towards the bottom, and that's where they were last year. But unfortunately, that's what I would see.
Yeah, I'm like, I thought it was going to be a little bit better. I mean, it was just so bad last year that I don't know. Barry Odom, wasn't a bad coach. I mean, who knows? Maybe they could turn it around a little bit this year, but it doesn't look promising. I just think the program itself is kind of in a bad way since Braum left.
Yeah, I'm not cheering against Odom.
No.
It's just what that roster flip over went, and then, I mean, could you time it any worse for what your in-state rival is doing? And really, it's two. Not only has Indiana, sucked all the juice out of the state. Notre Dame's been on a run at that same time. So, boy, it is tough to grab talent right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always makes tough. And I think it's kind of a similar dynamic. Like you look at like the Florida schools with Florida State, Florida, and Miami. It's just tough to have multiple teams in the same state having success at the same time. Usually, it's one or the other. And when you have two that are really good, then it just adds another nail to that coffin. But switching from the teams to the individuals, is there a player in the Big Ten this year that you're most excited to see in action?
Oh boy. If I'm being a homer, I would probably say DJ Vanami, the Iowa tight end. He put on quite a bit of a show at the end of last year, and we'll see what he looks like going into this year. Drake Lindsay would be a really interesting one. Minnesota Gopher quarterback. When he was good, he was excellent last year, just really struggled on the road. So can he be more consistent all around and take a big step up? That's interesting. I'm excited to see Calandria at Nebraska. Can he get basically be the juiced up guy, but take the turnovers down? I'm looking forward to watching every single Iowa State player that is now in a Penn State uniform. That is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, there's that Smith guy running around at Ohio State, but I feel like we already know what that absolute freak show, can do. I would kind of say that about a couple guys at Oregon. So I kind of painted the board there, but I mean, there's a lot of interesting players to pay attention to.
Yeah. And I have a homer pick too. Josh Hoover, obviously the TCU transfer now in Indiana. He's a Rockwall Heath grad like myself. We went to the same high school, so he was originally committed to Indiana out of high school before he flipped to TCU. Definitely interested to see what he does up there in Bloomington.
That's a
I,
great
I
pick.
also I also have a homer pick. Just a guy that I think is kind of coming in under the radar because he got hurt last year. Um, Max Granville was a defensive end who didn't play a snap last year. He got hurt in camp, and he is supposed to be this big time stud at defensive end. And you know what? Since I'm talking about the defensive end, let's go with Kima Zhao also from Penn State. Penn State has two young defensive ends that I think can do some damage this year and make a little bit of noise. So, homer picks all around, everybody.
Nothing wrong with that. Let's
Hey,
do it.
Jeff, you had me at tight end from Iowa. I mean, anytime there's a tight end from Iowa on the field, you have to watch them because, God, it's like a factory you guys have going out there.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I'm kind of eating my own words to a certain degree because I've been trying to warn Iowa fans to maybe pipe things down a little bit with DJ Vanami. I've seen the Sam Laporta comparisons to go back in the somewhat way back time machine. I think he's more of a Tony Moeaki type of tight end, but if you could be a healthy Tony Moeaki, you can do some damage.
That's still pretty damn good.
I think so.
That's still pretty good.
So.
So, Jeff, we've had a few head coaching changes. I don't want necessarily a prediction, but who do you think, just by looking at it on the surface, can have the best tenure at a current program? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for example, like Whittingham is a fantastic coach. Okay. But how many years is he going to have left? You know what I'm saying? So, like, who do you think is set up to probably have the best tenure for their program?
Yeah, you got Witt at Michigan, right, as the candidates. You got MC, Matt Campbell at Penn State. Pat Fitzgerald back in the Big Ten, but in green this time at Michigan State. And the new guy, Bob Chesney, in UCLA. Now, the other side of this, as far as the length of the tenure, which you're correct in bringing up, Witt is sort of behind the 8 ball compared to these other guys as they're a little bit younger. Then the other thing is expectations, So Witt has much higher expectations at Michigan, I think it's fair to say, than the other 3 teams. So if we are then saying, as far as that coach's expectations, against what they can actually do on the field, that is interesting. Now Matt Campbell, he's somewhere in between, a little bit lower than the Michigan expectations, probably higher than Michigan State, definitely higher than UCLA. With Matt Campbell, if his tenure pretty much looks like the guy before, then do people view that as a success or not? So that's interesting to me. So I feel like the one that can have the best tenure against comparison might very well be Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State. Ooh. Okay. Now I'm a little bit nervous. Okay. Because I think I know what I'm going to get out of the other 2. And I think it's going to be good. I want to explain that. So, like, who's going to win more games? I'm going to say Witt and Matt Campbell. Against expectations where people look and say, was this pretty good? Then I would switch to Pat Fitzgerald. I love Bob Chesney. Just too much unknown. There's just flat out too many things that I don't know yet about Bob Chesney in the Big Ten to realistically pick him. The only thing that makes me nervous about Pat Fitzgerald is haven't seen him do it, outside of Northwestern. Haven't seen him do it without his defensive coordinator that was a stalwart with his time at Northwestern. But kind of that adult in the room that we're talking about with Witt, I think you're getting that in Sparty land too.
Yeah, and like Jay and I, so the thing is with Northwestern that I'm worried, with Michigan State, Freudian slip there, that I'm worried about is that Fitz's last 2 years at Northwestern were really bad. Like I feel like they were trying to get him out of there. And we don't have to talk about, the hazing thing or anything else, but like, that's what kind of worries me. However, to your point, if Fitz does well, I don't think he's going anywhere. He's staying there, whereas Whittingham retire, Chesney, who I love, if he might get another job after UCLA, So I don't know, but yeah, it's
Right. Huge.
Yeah, and the other thing with UCLA is I just don't know what their commitment level is to football. Right, we have all the things going on with the Rose Bowl. There's been a lot of turnover out there. I just I think Chesney has a bright future. Jeff, to your point, just so many unknowns, and that isn't just for Chesney. I think it's for the program of UCLA as well. So definitely going to be interesting to watch that. But it scares me. It scares me a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when I had said the unknowns in my mind is if he has success, does he stay? I forgot to bring it up. So
Yeah.
Jake, you absolutely brought that home. I do think UCLA's commitment is better now than it was recently, even 18 months ago. I mean, they didn't really take that coaching search seriously when they landed on Deshaun Foster. I think there was just enough heat. I wonder sometimes if there's been heat from the Big Ten themselves, like, you're a part of a football conference now, get your ass moving. So they are now funding it a little bit better. But yeah, then it's potential as a UCLA fan. You pop up for a couple years and an even bigger boy runs and grabs.
I do know just from hearing LeVar Arrington talk, because his son was recruited by UCLA. He basically said that if his son, if LeVar Arrington didn't have ties to Penn State, LeVar Arrington's kid would have went to UCLA. He said that UCLA is really starting to invest heavily in football, and that was kind of a surprise to me, because LeVar's kid, he was like a high three. He was like a high 3-star. So but he said that UCLA was really beautiful and invested. So I think that can be a dangerous thing on the West Coast, and I think they got a pretty good guy there.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So Jeff, I got to ask that this is the Homer-ism in me talking, and because we have a lot of Penn State people that listen to the show.
Yeah.
As an Iowa fan, so you're I think the best person to ask, when you're talking about Penn State and Matt Campbell, because both of them fairly well. So first, what are your feelings towards Matt Campbell, and how would you rate the hire of him to Penn State?
I am just fine talking to State here, so don't feel self-conscious. Kind of alluded to it. I find it thoroughly intriguing for me because I'm an Iowa fan. There is an interesting, second level rivalry in the Big Ten. Now, there's a little bit of kinship between fans, because Iowa State fans have now turned around and hated Penn State because you stole their coach much higher roster. Are you picking up what I'm putting down there on that superfluous stuff first, Jake, before I even get into the – okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It is.
So that is cool to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's yeah. Sorry, I had a little bit of delay, but no, it's very intriguing. This whole situation, because I know Campbell, let's lay him out to the side. But like you said, Penn State and Iowa have this weird little friction between the two over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. But I mean, I think he's the right guy for the right time, because he does feel like more family. It's going to be more ball coach. And I think that's a change of pace from Franklin, who was more of a politician,
Yeah, he was more straight CEO. Whereas Campbell, I think, is, I guess the player's coach would be the kind of corny way to say it. What I find many things intriguing. What Matt Campbell built at Iowa State was the best that he could build under the conditions, which means he knew that he was going to constantly find grinders, right? That were going to buy into the system and the message and sprinkle it with a couple dudes here and there. Now, at Penn State, how much of that will be tweaked? In my opinion, he's going to build the core of his roster somewhat similar to what he did at Iowa State, just a level up, a little bit higher level of guys. But I think he still is going to want those dudes with the mentality of bring your lunch pail to Happy Valley and go to work. Okay. He's going to want tough guys and guys that are going to follow the message. Then mix that in with a couple Penn State freak show outside linebacker, run, the that we have. So it's Matt Campbell plus, I think that's what we're going to get. So will Penn State fans be understanding if maybe the recruiting stars isn't what they want it to be, and chill out? It's okay. The dude has got a plan. Let this thing play out. I think that's what's going to be interesting about it. Awesome, Matt Campbell, Penn State fans, in that it looks like a very giveable schedule to be able to attack it from the get-go, so you can get the good feels going with the Penn State fans right from the start. So I have to think that Matt Campbell, one of the main reasons he was interested in Penn State to finally switch from Iowa State, because there's been a ton of times where people have gone after Matt Campbell and he's stayed names. Penn State, of course, all right. Also, Penn State now with this schedule in 2026. These coaches absolutely look at that stuff. So I think that's interesting. I told you, man, you get me going on Penn State. I've been jonesing to talk about them. It's an extremely intriguing team to me.
It is. And I don't want to go too, big into it, but I love the Iowa State guys he's bringing over. I think Penn State this year, I really believe they can be a 10-2 team. I don't know if they're going to make the playoff with that, because if they're 10-2, I don't know where some of their big wins are because of their schedule so favorable.
Yeah.
However, I'm more worried about 2027, because okay, what are you going to do when all these Iowa State guys are gone? And listen, I'm okay with taking a dip in recruiting, but the problem is college football fans we're very I shouldn't say we. College football fans are very emotional people. And
right.
in my mind, I feel like if this doesn't go, if it's more of the same pretty much, then Penn State's going to be in the same exact spot in 3 to 4 years. I hope that's not the case. I really don't, because I really like Matt Campbell. I think he's a perfect hire, but man, I just have this gut feeling that we're still not going to get the dudes, and we're going to get outclassed in a position or two against Ohio State or against a good Michigan, and then we're in the same boat.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Ohio State outclasses pretty much everybody. So sometimes it's a little unfair to just compare Penn State and James Franklin to that situation. So I would throw that out there. And then, as far as Matt Campbell and the mix, I know it's the Iowa State guys now, but there's Penn State recruits on the roster now. It's like people think the only dudes in the two deep on both sides are just Iowa State guys. There are Penn State talented guys.
Oh yeah,
mixed in there too. I you feel like you don't read that at all. And Matt Campbell showed the ability to beat the big boys from his record, his record versus ranked teams. I think it's a little bit better than James Franklin was, which is pretty amazing when you consider James Franklin's doing it in Happy Valley and Matt Campbell was doing it in Lames. So you have to factor that into the whole equation. So I'm intrigued. I truthfully always respected Matt Campbell, but I could not like him of where he was at. It's easier for me to like him as long as he doesn't mess with the Penn State uniforms. If he goes his quirky, I love the color black, I have the ability to change my mind and say, no, Matt Campbell is just a weirdo. I love Penn State's uniforms. Don't be messing with those uniforms, Matt Campbell.
I think they'd have a riot in Happy Valley if they tried to go black on the uniforms there.
Listen, people are already talking about the possibility of busting out the black and pinks. And I just listen, that's a basketball thing. Oof. That's in every other sport thing. Leave football alone. But yeah, his record is a little bit his top 25 record is a little bit better than James. The only thing I would not argue, but just like looking through the ranked opponents, and Jeff, you and I talk about this a lot. The Big Ten, for some reason, teams ranked between like 20 and 25. Like, I feel like that's just a dead area. Sometimes Minnesota sneaks in or Illinois, but most of the time it isn't. So who's filled there? Teams in the Big 12, teams in the 8. And I feel like where not all ranked teams are equal, but I understand the sentiment of, hey, this guy has done it in a place that is very hard to win. I mean, what is he? Is he the most winningest coach in Iowa State? I think he is, right?
I'm almost.
Yeah.
I think
he has to be.
It don't take much to be third. I just want to say that. But shout out to Dan McCarney, by the way. He was the coach at Iowa State that was recruiting me. He had a unbelievable takeover that he had to do back in the day, and he did pretty darn good. Like, Iowa State was absolutely at the bottom rung of the ladder, and he did pretty good work there. But and as far as, I'm just going to shoehorn this in, guys, but as far as depth of the Big Ten and top 25, we obviously named the top 3 teams in the Big Ten. That next layer down, Iowa, Michigan, Penn State, USC, Washington, in my opinion, like, all 5 of those teams could go win games in any conference and the SEC. The next tier down for me that I would have is Illinois, Minnesota, Nebraska. Okay, so that's 3 more teams. 3 plus 5 plus 3, I believe, is 11 teams. Are every one of those teams championship level teams? No, but every one of those teams takes football pretty seriously. And when you're 11 deep in the conference, I think you're talking conference. And this isn't even necessarily me saying there's absolutely no doubt that the Big Ten has better depth than the SEC. I'm not saying that. The Big Ten has absolutely had the best teams in college football 3 years in a row. To me, that's what we had always been gauged off of for the best conference, was who had the best team when everybody was left standing. That's been the Big Ten. I would then say the depth of both conferences is extremely close. I don't even think debating it is that interesting to me. I just think it's a horse apiece in either direction. But I'll say this, if your point that you have to make is that the teams at the very bottom, okay, let's say it's Rutgers and Purdue, if that's the point you have to make, that the 2 teams at the very bottom of an 18-team conference are bad, you have lost the plot, okay? You of anything that makes sense when you might beat a team 42-3 instead of 35-10. Okay, it's really not that big a difference when it's all said and done. Jay, I know you're more of the SEC guy. If you got a rebuttal, I'm all ears.
No, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think the depth in both conferences is crazy. Like, I think you're not going to have any weeks that you can just take off. Like, even with those guys at Rutgers or Purdue, if they're near the bottom of the conference, you look at like what Mississippi State has been the past few years. Like, even among those, like, there's still a lot of talent on those rosters. You're still playing Power 4 football, and really, I mean, I think you can narrow it down to Power 2 football. That's a conversation maybe for a different time. But you're looking at 2 of the most stacked conferences we've ever seen. I think, like, particularly just the talent in these conferences now is otherworldly. And I think it's only going to get more to that point. And I'm not one of these guys that's just going to beat the SEC conference supremacy thing, because I want to beat all the guys in my conference anyway. Like I don't want to fly a conference flag. And I think it's an argument you can have, not one that appeals to me.
Yeah. Jay, that's why you
Beautifully
guys
put.
at A&M are my Jay, that's why you guys at A&M are my favorite when it comes to this.
Well,
but yeah,
there are people in the fan base who probably
we don't-
disagree strongly with me.
we don't talk about them. It's okay. But Jay, you said power too, which is crazy because the Nard dog, Pat Narduzzi, is running his mouth again about how the ACC is better and more skillful and deeper than the Big Ten. And I have no idea what planet he's living on. Like, I truly believe he just loves rage baiting people, because there is no way he believes that. Like, I just did a TikTok today on the bozo of the week, because this man is out of his mind. He is out of his ever-loving mind that, like, oh, we're just as deep. Like, yeah, you had Miami, and then who else? Duke, who got absolutely destroyed by Illinois, your conference champion, got destroyed. Like, it wasn't even close by Illinois. Like, it wasn't even close.
Tell us how you really feel, Jake.
Like, this guy is on another planet. I hate him.
It's like your crazy aunt who's twice divorced giving you marriage advice. It's like, listen, I'm gonna listen to you because you're entertaining and I've got a cocktail in my hand, but I'm not actually gonna take anything you're saying with any kind of merit.
And he's 1-6. He's 1-6 against the Big Ten.
Who's that one win?
Shut up, Jay. Shut up. You know.
Oh man, the rain game. That's right. Oh, that's a tough one.
No. They killed him in the rain game. It was it was 2016. Penn State had like 8 dudes out on defense. Like, it was, and then they just couldn't outmaneuver. That game kept them out of the playoff. But then Penn State took 3 out of they won 3 in a row. But yeah, damn it, Jay. Now you got me all flustered. Now I'm thinking of James. Now I'm thinking of James Conner scoring like a 3rd touchdown, and Deshaun Hamilton dropping a touchdown pass for the win. But yeah, I really don't like that guy. I really don't. So Jay,
and if I'm you, I don't like him. But I just want you to know, everybody. Again, I wouldn't let it bother you too much, because nobody's taking it seriously. And you know what? I don't think Pat Narduzzi is. I think he just likes to say things and then sit back and giggle.
Yeah. Jeff, we talked, we talked about my team at nauseum there, probably more than we should have. Talk about you guys. How's Iowa going to look this year? Because listen, this is a podcast that does talk about the Hawkeyes, a decent amount.
Yeah, you know what? The best way I can describe it, it's going to look a little different, but not that much different, right? And what I'm getting at is it's still going to be a team that relies on defense and being smart with the football, okay? It's going to be a team that hopefully winds up towards the bottom of the country in penalties, okay? And that's a huge deal to the DNA. I think those things are going to be there. However, if people actually want to pay attention, and I know you guys do, Iowa has had a better offense the past couple years under Tim Lester, the offensive coordinator. Tim Lester has not had the quarterback, and I would say especially receivers, to be able to fully perform his game plan and offense that he would like to do. A shout out to Lester for just making it happen however he could last year, which was basically turning our quarterback into another running back in the backfield. And, he led the country in rushing touchdowns, out of our quarterback, because he basically just said, what do we have to do to put points on the board? Do I think Iowa is going to explode in the throw game this year? No, I don't. But I think you will see more consistency, efficiency. Okay. That will help the offense just overall have a better look to it. Then I'm a little concerned about the defensive line. I expect them to do the minimum job requirement of stopping the run, but I'm a little bit anxious. I'm anxious on how well we're going to be able to get after the quarterback on the other side, which means you might see higher scoring games in general that Iowa's involved in, which could, blow people's minds a little bit. We actually last year and a half, you might see even more so this year.
I think Iowa score 27 points. If Iowa scores 27 points, they win a lot of football games. I think if they even score 24 points, that they win a lot of football games. And Jeff, I saw a stat that was like, I think like it was something crazy. It was like when Iowa scores under 24 points, their winning percentage is like through the roof. Like it's like at like 85% or something like that. Like just get to 24. Just get to 24. Yeah. But no, listen, that offense is better under Lester. 100%. I don't think anyone can even, say differently. However, just Iowa's reputation, the low-hanging fruit is always going to be, oh, well, how many points are they going to score, But,
And so we might be getting a little bit lazy with that. I'm probably showing my homerism, if we can do it this year. And I would say the other thing that's out left field that what is typical for Iowa is our special teams are under a gigantic overhaul. We lost our very talented special teams coordinator to the aforementioned Michigan State Spartans, and everybody that did great things in special teams this year is or a different team. So that is going to have a different look too. But it'll be interesting. Got to start from and just go from there.
That's an X factor, Jeff. Like the Iowa special teams, it's a third of a game. It's truly a third of a game there,
People love to sleep on the third phase, but I mean, as an A&M fan, I saw what happens when you have bad special teams in the playoffs, right? Missed field goals against Miami, missed field goals to close the season out against Texas. Like, you have to have a solid special teams unit. I really appreciate you bringing that up, Jeff, because I think people sleep on the third phase too much.
And Iowa you could literally say it was maybe more of a third, like it was something like defense was 50%, special teams was, I don't exactly know how the breakdown was after that. I would say it would be more normal of a breakdown where maybe special teams is 15%, of the total game, but we'll see.
Yeah. One last thing, Jay, people talk about the offense. They didn't have any problem scoring on Vandy in that bowl game.
They did not.
They did not. I loved every second of it.
And I appreciate you bringing that up. We're not going to go crazy on it, but what you saw was a healthy quarterback and receiving core, and unfortunately took the whole year to get a guy there. That is a big part of that. And then Lester was able to do some stuff.
Loved it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get into the, I guess, goofier part of the questions here to wrap things up. Yeah. One of the big pieces out of the off season, I guess, or more recently anyway, is the new partnership the Big 12 has with Monster Energy. So I have to ask, if the Big Ten had a partnership like this Monster Energy Big 12, what would the Big Ten sponsor be?
Okay. So I want to put some effort into it, and I'm interested to see what your take is, because I feel like I have no choice here. Okay. Because we are a coast to coast conference, we essentially have, it's like 3 different countries. You have the East Coast, the Midwest, and the West Coast. So I felt like I had to break it down and do Dunkin' Donuts on the East Coast, Rutgers, Maryland, maybe, gets into Penn State a little. In the Midwest, you could take a pick. We could do either Menards or Culver's as far as the Midwest. Okay. Yep. Both Wisconsin companies, read into that with what you will. And then when we switch to the West Coast, then we go In-N-Out Burger for the partnership there. So I there's no real way to do it, because I can't find a product that is across the Big Ten footprint that isn't also across the whole country.
Yeah, we were talking. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No. I was saying we both said Menards and Culver's on the last
Okay,
show.
okay.
So I'm glad you brought
Okay,
that. I'm glad you brought that up.
I
Nice.
love some
Jay.
cheese curds. No, and one I think one of the other ones that I brought up was a gas station, and like I may even have the geography wrong on this, but I was talking about Casey's, like the breakfast pizza there.
Yeah.
Because we talked about Bucky's down south and some of the other gas stations like Wawa or Sheetz on the East Coast. I was like, well, maybe Casey's could get thrown in there, but I may have the geography off on that.
No, but that would be heart of Midwest. I don't think you're finding a ton of Casey's on the East or West Coast. Like I said, it's a struggle to find one across the footprint.
How about Greyhound?
Not bad.
The Greyhound, bus. The buses. I don't know.
You get like an airline sponsor. I think that would work.
There you go. American Airlines, Delta.
There you go.
All right, so this is going to be a little bit more rapid fire, Jeff. Here. Okay. So you have done every rapid fire we've ever come up with. So we had to really get deep in our bag here. So we're going to go with you're building your best tailgate. Okay.
Yeah.
You're building your best tailgate. So one, a lunch entree. What would you go with?
Okay, so what I'm trying to focus on here is a tailgate for like a earlier kickoff for what you're is what you're getting at.
Well, nope, a lunch because earlier in the morning is going to be a little bit later, and then you put a side in there as well.
All right, here's the thing about tailgate food. I am there to primarily drink, talk. You're right. It's my two favorite things to do. Okay. So like everybody marvels at the fact that right before everybody starts packing up, I realize I haven't eaten a thing. Okay. Like that's how I roll. I'm too invested in those two activities. So what I need is something that I can grab and stick in my mouth and chew and be down. And there's not a lot of production that's going into it. So so I like a nice, easy slider, a pre-made slider that I just grab off. I don't want to walk around with a plate. I just want to grab it off the main area, stick it in my mouth, chew it while somebody's talking, and then I'm back at it.
All right. Do you have a side? Do you have a particular side with that?
Yes, I do. And it fits perfectly with a slider. It's a Midwest thing. Some people call it a Midwest sushi, but it is the cream cheese wrapped pickles. Okay. If you don't know what these are, they are absolutely fantastic. You got to do what I would prefer is a smoked ham. Some people do a smoked turkey. You slather that with cream cheese, wrap it around a pickle. You cut it into little individual things about, sushi roll size. Again, easy to pop into your mouth and keep moving.
Very
Love
good.
that.
Very good.
So you mentioned one of the other things you like about tailgating is getting some beverages in. What would be your drink of choice?
This is the thing that I struggle with the most, okay? Because I know my name's Jeffrey the Greek, but I'm as German as can be. And I don't know what happened to me, but sometime in my 30s, I developed allergies, and drinking beer absolutely ripped me apart. I still love the taste of beer. So tequila is my most go-to drink. So I am looking for some pre-made margaritas, okay, ready to go, especially in the first half of the season. Just keep the tequila and margs going. That's what I'm looking for. I know I'm going to get judged by that, okay, but I can't just be drinking straight or my brain's going to melt before I even get into Kinnick Stadium, okay? So but I can sip a margarita a little bit more and stay functional.
Okay, I like that you went margarita because I thought you were just going to say just straight tequila, and I was going to call you a psychopath. I'm glad you went with margarita, but no, margarita's good. That's especially a good margarita at a tailgate. Oh yeah, that's good. So Jeff, how about let's go.
And then the only thing I would thing I would say is you got to switch away from the margarita at there, okay? Because then it's not margaritas are warm weather drinks, okay? So then I got to make the switch. Usually I switch to a Guinness at that point. That's what I go with. I have less of a hangover there.
Very nice. Love that.
Okay.
Love a good Guinness. All right. So how about a breakfast food? If you're going to do a breakfast tailgate, what is the breakfast food that you would want?
Shout out to my mom, Kathy. Doesn't make a lot of anymore, but she still is a part of the day. She makes pre-made, essentially old, like McDonald's egg sausage McMuffins, except she makes them at home. They're warm, wraps them in thick tin foil, sticks them in a cooler, and you pull those things out, and they are still warm and melty. And I got to tell you, just talking about it right now, my mouth's watering because it's good stuff.
Oh, we do the same thing, Jeff. We do the same thing. We have a little oven too to kind of put them in there, like a tiny oven to put them. Jay, I think you got to experience those.
I got to experience that firsthand, and I loved it. Obviously, down in Texas, we're a breakfast taco for our tailgate. But
Great.
I love that McMuffin action. Like, it is so good.
Yeah.
The breakfast taco is a great option. But it needs to be folded over to the point where I only need one hand to do it. I can't be doing the two-hand whole taco situation. It's got to be greasy McDonald's style where I can just stick it in my mouth.
Yeah, you want it almost at like a burrito point where you can just have it and just take a bite and not have to worry about it. I gotcha.
Bingo.
Sticking with breakfast, how about a breakfast drink? Mimosas, things like that.
Well, I struggle at that, to be honest with you, because here's what I would say. If it's a good Bloody Mary, I like it. But here's the problem. I don't like vodka, and most of the Bloody Marys are just not very good. It's just pre-made and it's crap. But if a good Bloody Mary, people's mind, but I will go with the tequila Bloody Mary. Yes, that's correct. Tequila. Not just because Amador, Tres Agave. We've switched from Amador to Tres Agaves, but I'm telling you, I've been on the tequila kick even before Tres Agaves took over our sponsorship.
See, I think Bloody Marys are a bit. It can't. It's. I think I hate them all. I can't do it. I can't. It's either a beer or a mimosa. I have.
It's a lot of work.
Older age, it is a lot of
I'll
work.
do a little Irish coffee if it gets in the winter months.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love that.
Jay, that is thank you, Jay. That is excellent. A little Irish coffee, especially because then what you can do is in the colder months, you can switch it to a chocolate milk or a non-caffeinated coffee. And get the Irish very well done. I would have been mad at myself. So that was an excellent save you just had there.
I have the hat on. I have to do it, right?
There it is.
Phenomenal.
Jeff, tailgate game. Some people play games at tailgates. I know you said you're more of a drinking and talker. If you had to have a tailgate game at your tailgate, what are you bringing?
So it's been rumored that perhaps my buddies and I are going to bring this back out. Okay. So, bags are great. I might jump in and get a game of bags, no problem. But the greatest tailgate game of all time, by far, is washers. And if you're not familiar with washers, it is wooden box, certain, size PVC in the middle. You can debate on exactly what the rules are. If you cork it, is it worth 5? Is it worth 3? Is a stand-up washer on the side worth something? Whatever. But my buddies and I, we used to absolutely epic washer fights before the game. And I got to tell you, it's been a while. I've still got the washers right as I'm sitting right here. They're about 12 feet away from me in my storage shed. I think it almost might be time to bring that out.
I love the wall. That's a classic. That's a game that doesn't get enough love. So I'm glad you said washers. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like everybody
Yeah.
leans like horseshoes or bags. Got to throw washers in there. It's just such a good one.
Yeah.
Jeff, I actually got to experience a tailgate game that I had seen before, but hadn't been able to participate in for the first time. When we went up to the whiteout when Iowa was playing Penn State, that was a stump game. I had never played the stump game before. Got to experience that firsthand. I was not good at it.
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
tough
lot of
one.
preparation. It's a lot of preparation. I have been a part of when I lived in West Virginia. I went and helped out a guy. We had to get the stump and get the tarp down, lift it up. It is a giant pain, but man, you bring that to a tailgate or bust that out, legendary status. It's a really cool kind of flex.
yeah.
When you get that tree trunk out there.
That's a rarity.
It is.
That's a rarity.
It is.
Yeah.
It was fun to try it out. I also I don't know if you count it as a game, but like playing Thunderstruck at the tailgate, you get in the circle and start drinking, and you switch every time they say thunder. That was one of my favorites, which kind of leads into the next question. What's a good tailgate song, Jeff? What are you putting on the aux?
Listen, I mean, you're talking Thunderstruck. That's that leads, that's AC/DC, and which leads right into Back in Black. So, when you're starting to feel it and it's about time to walk into Kinnick and you get that first blast of Back in Black in Iowa City, I'll tell you that much.
I could imagine. I was thinking about what you would say, and yeah, that's kind of perfect. That's like the one right before you go in, turn that on, tear it apart, and then get
every
into the
time,
stadium.
baby.
But
it was so fun to hear the different musical choices, Jake, going up to the tailgate at Penn State versus what we listened to at A&M.
I will say though, we're a different tailgate though, because we play Run Around Sioux. We'll play it, throw a little country in there, Maxine Nightingale. I can't think of I forget the name of the song, but we play some classics. Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf is played a lot at ours. So yeah, we have a nice mixture. I don't think we're like most tailgates up there.
In my opinion, that's doing it correct. I wish I could give a shout out to the dudes that run the music, and they have a ambulance that they purchased.
Oh yeah.
Did the black and gold, and now they've got AV and a 50-inch TV in the back of that thing. The sound system is so loud that there are sometimes you walk over and you say, "Can you turn it down a little bit?" It's that intense. But I will give them props in that their mixture of music, I think it should be, because a tailgate should be an eclectic group where welcome,
Yep.
So you should have country, you should have old school hip hop, you should have 80s music, you should have current stuff. It should be mixed all around. So to me, I think that's a underlying important part.
Jeff, funny you say that. 09 Iowa again. There's just a great coincidence. 09 Iowa Penn State. Okay. The people we were tailgating with, which by the way, it was it rained all day. They were an ambulance. They were the Iowa ambulance with the stripe, like you said, stripes on the side, big TV. And what's crazy? We talked about this little rivalry we had, but man, great people. It's hey, we're going against each other today, but we're gonna have a big party, up until game time. And I think that's the beauty of this sport.
Penn State and Iowa fans that absolutely hate each other on Twitter, X or whatever. The dude that was in the crowd, clutching his shoulder, he comes up every now and then. Penn State fans want to tar and feather that guy. I get it. But shout out to, I won't say his full name, but shout out to my buddy Galley, a little bit older dude he goes to Iowa Penn game, and he says hands down the most fun people he parties with are Penn State folk. I swear I'm not just saying this because I think I've told you that before offline. So maybe sometimes there's a little bit of there's some similarities between Iowa and Penn State fans, and so that way it brings out the passion against each other.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing to hear. I mean, listen, I don't want to stroke my fan base's ego or whatever, but like, I feel like 90% of us, if we see someone doing something in public that's like not like that's rude or not good, we go to them and say, hey, like, knock it off.
Yeah.
But like, I've seen hundreds of people just like go to opposing people, say, hey, how was your trip? I hope you have a good time. Just not too good. Haha, haha,
right.
Stuff like that. So, and again, I think that's the difference between our sport and the NFL.
And never base your experience on a fan base from a drunk 20-year-old. Okay. Like drunk 20-year-old dudes at a football game are supposed to be jackasses. Base it more off the, getting into the 20 and 30-year-old, and up type of fans.
Yeah. Exactly, because there's assholes in that they're assholes are plentiful in that particular age range.
It's like the
it should be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old Justified quote, right? If you run into an asshole in the morning, you ran into an asshole. If you run into assholes all day, you're the asshole.
Could be. Yeah. Could be.
Oh, man. Jeff, absolute blast having you on, man. You want to plug all your stuff, just in case we got some new listeners that want to follow you.
Yeah. So Jeff of the Greek, you can find me on X. I'm pretty prevalent on that. At Big Kurt, BONGKURT. Our guy Jordan is with us sometimes. We pretty much release pods all season long and get pretty active in July and August. So look for our stuff. And yeah, as far as since we had tequila talk, Tres Agaves, tequila and mixers, man, I'm telling you, it's organic tequila and organic mixers. My wife's hard to make happy as far as cocktails. Absolutely, I do too. So shout out to the sponsor because they make a good product.
Awesome. Everyone check out Eyes on Big if for a specific Big Ten football podcast. It's really good.
Oh, and thanks for having me on too. By the way, thanks for having me on too. I don't want the pod to end without me saying thanks for coming on too. So sorry, but I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But I talked about my sponsor and I forgot to say thanks. So always a blast.
No, always. Yeah. Hey, if you want a really good Big Ten specific podcast, check out Eyes on Big. It's real, authentic takes. It's not any of this like hot take factory stuff. And so from our East Coast listeners and some of our Midwest people, definitely check them out. From all of us at the Get Back Coach, Jay, land the plane, please.
Yeah. As always. Yeah, you tried to take my job.
I did.
I just became a pilot. We appreciate Jeff hopping on the podcast again. Follow him. Make sure you check out Eyes on Big. Thank you to all the listeners. Make sure you do all the things that help us grow as a podcast, like subscribe, share, word of mouth. Still the best kind of advertising you can get. But we appreciate everything you do to support us, and we will see you next time.
From all of us at the Get Back Coach, have a good week.